Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today I'm finally wrapping up the month of August. So I want to get through all of the books that I didn't talk about in August in reading vlogs because I don't like the overlap. I think I talk extensively enough. And also hit my stats and give you my favorites. It is about time that I get this out because I am already trucking through September. I am doing a mid-month wrap up for September and I've been doing clips along the way. So that should be out on time for once. Anyway, let's start with the stats, okay? Because for the month of August, I read 30 books, which was a definite increase from July, which is my slowest reading month of the year. 9 of those were physical, which is also an increase. Now, ebooks always dominate, 20, and 13 audiobooks. Math is never mathing, and that probably has to do with the fact that during the Romance Takeover Readathon, I know that I read Annie up physically as well as listened to the audiobook at work, and I did that with Priest as well. So somebody told me that the audiobook was good, and I have to agree. I'm glad that I chose to do that. As far as star ratings go, I had 7 5-star reads, 12 4-star reads, 10 3 stars, and 1 2-star and a rant. I'll continue. I have noticed that I'm a little bit more sparing when it comes to my 5 stars. I noticed that in my reading from last year. I noticed I was doing the same thing. I don't know what's up with that. If you don't know, this is only my 2nd year tracking my reading habits, so I find it interesting. But let's get into wrapping up the book, shall we? So for the Break Appreciation Society, I read The Proof of Seduction by Courtney Milan, and this historical took me by surprise because I was really enjoying the persona that the heroine created that became her livelihood. Also, it just felt like the kind of feminism that I want to read, being that she was able to forge this path for herself. There's a lot of social commentary, and it was heavy. A lot of it was, but I was really eating up and gleaning those aspects. Really, quite frankly, all of those elements outside of the romance because the hero grated on me. I was convinced that all he saw in her was her body. He was prickly, he was ornery, he was rigid, and I did not understand what she saw in him, okay? He really bothered me up until an instant. And so this is about Jenny. Again, she's created this persona of a fortune teller and has this reputation within the ton for having accurate predictions, and this really started when Sweet Ned goes to her in his depression when he's ready to take his own life, and she soothes him with a prediction about his future. And of course that spirals out of control and into this business, but I do like how it started out with this act of kindness. Now Ned's cousin, the Marquess, Gareth, is determined to really expose her as a fraud because he believes that she's taking advantage of Ned. And that is where their sort of bet and angsty dance begins. Oh, but I will say that Gareth as a hero really stuck the landing for me in terms of not even just like a grovel, but yes, and gesture and just transformation as a hero. I absolutely loved it. Oh, it surprised me so much. And I was so happy for it because up until that point, like I said, I was enjoying all of the other aspects of it, but that 3rd act really, really took it to the next level for me. So the next book that I read in August was Blood and Vows by Kate Easton. I saw Madison, your Princess of Paperbacks, reading this. She was calling it, you know, a fantasy Bloody Mary retelling, and I thought, yes, freaking please. And I really love this novella. In fact, I highly recommend it if you're looking for stuff for next month, because this is really set in a world that's like akin to ours, except there are rumors of paranormal and fantastical beings, and we meet our heroine on her worst day ever. I mean, her mother has passed, she caught her boyfriend sleeping with her best friend, and even her job is up in the air, okay? So she's licking her wounds at a pub, sucking down, I don't know, absent level in terms of obscurity like whiskey, and quite literally stumbles into a fate and world that she's reluctant to be a part of. And I don't want to give anything more away in terms of Marius, our hero, and who he is, or what he is rather, in terms of species or magical creature. But I will say that it made for some very interesting and fun steam. This was not insta-lovey. This also packed a lot of story and world building. There's going to be a full novel out next year. And if this is where we're starting at, I'm fully on board. I absolutely love this novella. After that, I had certain reading plans, but then Tori from Novel Life was like posting beautiful photos of Broken Whispers by Neva Altaj. I think I'm saying that right. I mean, I'm always like trying to be cool. I really think that that's her last name though. I'll just check. I mean, I know you can see it. Altaj, excuse me. So this was very counter to what I was expecting for an arranged mafia romance. I mean, it was so quiet and soft. This follows Mikhail. He is a member of the Bratva and has developed this sort of obsession with this prima ballerina. He is a scarred hero and he sees her as delicate and pristine. I will say that she's seemingly so. And she's retiring early due to injury. This heroine's also mute and a mafia princess who's being forced to marry a member of the Bratva by her tyrant and abusive father, who wants to send her in as a spy as well as solidify their alliance. And when Mikhail learns that it is her on the table to be wed, he cannot help but claim her because he can't see her with anyone else. He's not at all sure if he's going to be a good husband, if she's gonna feel shackled to him, because how could she fall for someone that's as scarred as he, if she's going to be okay with him being a single parent. And so I absolutely loved this because Tori brought up a really good point. I hope she doesn't mind me saying it. The heroine is like seemingly weak, yet she's so strong, and he has this rough exterior, and yet he is so gentle when it comes to her. I absolutely loved this. I loved how she was fully on board for him, that he was the only one that treated her with any kindness, okay? And how she defended her husband, how she was so attracted to him, and how he was in awe of that because of his scars, how she challenges him to open up to her. It just was so sweet. He was deliciously possessive, and I loved the moments where she was with his daughter. Those were so heartfelt. And there's a lot of mafia stuff going on externally around their relationship, but the two of them together, I mean, it's committed even in this third act drama that's not about the relationship. I absolutely love this, and it's a favorite of the month for me. Let's see. Next, I read my arc of Aphrodite and the Duke. Oh, let's see if we can get this shine together. I'm trying to get it together, but hopefully that's not annoying. I did like how this opened up with the weight of Aphrodite's name, because she embodies the goddess in beauty, but love still eludes her because her childhood love jilted her on his proposal and married another. And so now at the beginning of this book, she's on her way back to London after hiding out in the country on the request, or really demand, of her mother because her younger sister is coming out. She's going to be forced into proximity with Evander, and he is hell-bent on winning her back. I loved her rambunctious family in this. This is separated into two parts, and I really feel like the first part read as almost like a slice of life. I loved reading about a prominent Black family in the Regency historical. Oh, that just like got me. Her father is an intellectual and a scholar, and her mother really like controls all the reins within that home. She has younger siblings that are mischievous and rambunctious, and overprotective brother. I just loved that about this. Those moments were, again, slice of life. I will say that the writing felt modern but also classical in terms of her prose, and there were also multiple POVs within this book, which I'm not used to reading in a historical. I will be honest and say, in my opinion, all but one really functioned to flush out some of the aspects of their second chance. Being that Damon, her brother, has a POV chapter that introduces him into the weight of Evander's shoulders and what he's been hiding. And I thought that that was done pretty well. The others, I don't think helped develop the romance. At least it didn't for me. But as I've said, I did like her writing style in this. I loved all of the allusions to her being a bird caught up in a cage and being rattled, made to perform by all those that have control over her life. That was beautiful. And the second part of this book is their second chance, is their romance. I did like spending time with them. There are a lot of twists that are happening. The reasons for why Evander had to leave completely surprised me, and that's rounded out obviously in the second half of this book. But there was some social commentary that I really enjoyed, because race isn't a factor in this book, but birthright is. And I also like those beats that she sort of hits on the plight of women within this time. So it's a slow burn as well, you know, because we're keeping it proper until marriage. And I did like how they did have to get to know each other while being married. And Evander really has to learn how to communicate, where, you know, Didi is used to it coming from the loving family that she's in. So that was all interesting. I will say though, I really wanted some scenes about their love before, just so I could see it live and in color. I think it would have endeared me a little bit more to Evander, although he's been through a lot in this book, okay? I just wanted some of those moments in this book. I really think that that would have took it to the next level for me. And although I did really enjoy the family aspect, I think that, you know, it's read like slice of life in the beginning there. And I kind of wanted more with our couple. I did enjoy that he knows the woman behind the beauty. And so I just wanted to feel like I did a little bit more through those flashbacks. So I enjoyed this. I mean, I tabbed it up. There's some great quotes in this, and I'm so glad that it was sent to me. It's absolutely freaking stunning. Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. I absolutely love this. I got this rec from Riley Marie. This is a fantasy romance with a mature heroine in her 30s. She's a widow, she's a maid, and she's being held captive by her own family after inheriting a fortune from her great uncle, because they're trying to force her to marry her dope cousin with sweaty hands. To keep the money in the family. And I kind of hate laughing, because in the beginning of this book, I mean, the only reason why she meets Sarkis, okay, is because she's trying to figure out how to kill herself, because she feels like there's no way out. And I think this book has really smart writing, a very wry kind of like humor that did bring some levity to this heavier kind of opening, because even when she's trying to like calculate how she's going to do this, I couldn't help but laugh, just because of the way her thoughts sort of sift through, and that continues on throughout the book. It's very probing, it's very awkward, and I can absolutely relate. So the plan is that she's going to impale herself on this huge sword that's mounted on the wall, and when she unsheathes it, Sarkis appears, and they have this very comedic, you know, meet cute, where he's explaining to her that he is a man in corporeal form as well as the sword, and that he has this sort of vow to protect her. Now, his tactics are a little heavy-handed for the situation. At this point, all she needs help with is getting out of this locked room and off the premises, but it does serve well later on this sort of road trip and quest, where she is trying to get to this religious order so that it can help her claim her rightful inheritance. And along the way, it's just this mutual pining, slow burn, and appreciation between each other. I just loved it. I loved it so freaking much. And I also enjoyed how she cared about him beyond how he could help her in her quest, how he grew to trust her, and also the meditations on his backstory, you know, ancestry, lost history, the moments that make up a culture. I mean, there were some beautiful moments of recollection in this book, as well as it being absolutely hilarious and heartwarming. This is definitely a favorite of the month for me. I absolutely love this. Oh my God, I loved it so much. Next, I read Mercy by Sara Cate. I now know that this is not the last in the Salacious Players Club, but it did serve as a great bookend to praise, being that Beau, Emerson's son, is the hero in this book, and his judgment of Emerson's lifestyle this entire time just made for a very heartwarming third act for me. I also enjoyed that Beau and Maggie are new and reluctant to kink. And Maggie's been a mystery up until this point. So in this book, I learned that she is a shark in business. I enjoyed how Emerson treated her like a true and equal partner. But she kind of feels like a fish out of water when it comes to the kinky lifestyle that she's entrenched in. So because she's always working, the heroines from the previous books, her friends, push her to actually join their app, which requires her to take an exam. And she's the only one that's really surprised that she got Brat Tamer and Femdom. And I also kind of enjoyed that we do get a scene between Maggie and Beau, you know, that's a little, I would say, pacing around heat that I enjoyed. Because shortly after, Beau takes the exam as well. And when he gets experimental, brat, and submissive, he just thinks the entire thing is ridiculous until he's matched with this mysterious woman without a profile picture who's just as skeptical. Obviously, they don't know that they're conversing with one another, but I really loved where this went because this is very educational. I mean, they start from, you know, ground zero, from that questionnaire that we got in Praise. Maggie really works to figure out how she would like to engage in dominance, asks for help. And also, I like how their sessions, while they're still lying to themselves about this being temporary, really helped Beau see how he was failing in his relationships, failing to suit up and show up and actually be a partner, being that now in this dynamic with Maggie, he's going to have to trust. And some of those scenes really took it there. And I did like the reveal of, you know, who they're speaking with coming early on. However, I do not like in romances in general when the inevitable secret that has to come out is sort of taken away from our characters. And so I like to see them do the work. That didn't really happen here. However, I did enjoy this book and how it wrapped up, okay? I really loved, again, seeing Beau suit up for another woman within his life, being that their family dynamics in this have changed because of, you know, his father's relationship. And so that was really cute. And also seeing Maggie kind of soften with the shame, and it just felt like it was all consuming and something that they couldn't control, which I absolutely loved. And again, I love a BDSM romance because consent is king and it's structured play. And in that play, one is like free to explore and expand and grow. And I think that she's capturing that within this series. So I loved Mercy. Again, you know, I would have liked them to do the work, the big reveal. However, I still enjoyed where we went with this. And since we're getting, I think, 2 more books because of how it ended, I really want to pop back in with them because that just sounds very cool. So I think the last book that I read, yes, I wanted to get The Dare by Harley Laroux in to prepare for the losers on the 30th of this month. And this was a high school party after high school. Popular girl is sort of going head to head with the outsider that she once kissed but continued to bully, and she feels guilty, but she's also not going to lose against him in this very public beer pong game where they are taking their dares to a degrading level that she actually quite enjoys. And I found this to be a delicious romp. Okay, this was hot AF. And I'm very excited about the losers because there is a moment in here where she's questioning, like, how is he friends with the guys that like were teasing him? What's going on here? I don't know. This was freaking steamy and delicious and I devoured it and I cannot wait for the losers. That's all I'm going to say about it because it is a fast romp that I loved so much. I mean, it was just like delicious and devious. I normally don't like degradation, but that worked for me. Ooh, and there was something about like just kind of like the revenge aspect of it too. And as they're playing like beer pong, it just felt like foreplay. I loved that. Anyway, I said I was gonna stop, so I will. Let's go over my favorites of the month. I've already talked about Swordheart, ding, ding, ding. I absolutely loved The Priest. I read this during the romance takeover. This is a favorite of the month. Also, Parallel by Elle O'Rourke. I read that during a reading vlog. That was a favorite of the month. Broken Whispers by Neva Altaj. And I really have to mention Even If It Hurts, okay? I'm still thinking about Dare. Did I rate this 5 stars? No, I rated it a 4. Have I continued to think about it halfway almost through September? Yeah, that's just how it goes. Like I have a favorites of the year video out on my channel from the month of March and there are reads on there that weren't 5 stars, but I consider them to be favorites. Rating is so arbitrary, but I have to mention this as well as a new to me author and my favorite novella, which was Liberation. I loved this. This will be in a rec video that is coming out, I believe, the day after today, because I'm scheduling now. I'm gonna try. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please consider subscribing and sticking around, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.